each world creates its own reality on its own level. So the Malachim that will be created for Malchus of Bria will not be the same angels that are created through Malchus of Yetzirah, the world lower than Bria. What about the souls? So the Rebbe will say, well, what Malchus of Yetzirah will create is the Ruchos. If Malchus of Bria created the Neshamas, we know that we have Neshama, Ruach, and Nefesh, right? That's the conscious aspect of the soul in the body. Tonight is the eve of Vav Mar Cheshvan. And Baruch Hashem, we are getting together again to learn Tanya and to speak about the Parsha, and we'll see how much koyach we have and how much bracha in time we have, because we have a lot to share. So let's dive right in, and the shiur should be for the schus of all those who were kidnapped and are in captivity. They should come home immediately and rescued and whole and safe. Beguf u'benefesh, as well as those who are injured or not well should heal right away, and those who need Yeshuas should have Yeshuas, and all the soldiers should be protected, and we should have a final victory in the Geula Amitis Vashlema. And anything correct in this shiur, anything useful, should go towards that. We are in chapter Nun Beis, 52, page Ein Gimel, which is 145, if you want to look at it like that.
Yeah, I'd like to do. Let me go get that.
And
you down here?
Please mute yourself, Chayedel, okay?
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Ziz. All right, so now we're talking about the Shechina. We are talking about the Shechina. I'm giving a quick review. What is the Shechina, which has various names, Matronisa and Dvar Hashem, and what else? Malchus, or Atzilus, so on and so forth. The Shechina is the aspect of Or and Sof that is shayach to worlds. It's shayach to create worlds and to sustain and animate the worlds. Now the Shechina as it is way, way, way too intense, too infinite, and too much of a divine revelation for the Nivraim to be able, for the created beings to be able to contain it without losing their metzius, their existence in its presence. And that's why, or therefore, I'm just summarizing quickly this page of Ein Gimel. And therefore, the Shechina needs some kind of a levush, of a garment that will protect the Nivraim, that when the Shechina directs its ashpah to the created worlds, they should not be overwhelmed by it, like shining too much light in somebody's eyes and face. A person can become blind, so to speak. God forbid. So in order for creations not to be battled by Metzius, the Shechina needs a levush, a garment. And what is the levush that can conceal the Shechina and to garb the Shechina? And it itself should not be losing its Metzius in the presence of the Shechina. Because the Shechina is still an aspect of Or and Sof, of godliness itself. So what can be such a levush that on one hand filters, conceals, covers up, and on the other hand, strong enough to be battled in the presence of the Shekhinah. What is it? Can anybody tell me the secret? Pardon? Torah and mitzvahs. That's what Torah and mitzvahs are. So Torah is the divine wisdom, and mitzvahs are the divine desire and will and pleasure. Mainly the divine will and desire. And this Torah came down. Yarda, she came down level after level after level. This Torah came down. Beishtalshelus, in relevance to the ishtalshelus, or the evolvement or devolvement of worlds, until the Torah was invested now and enclosed, and now it is studied and expressed with Dvarim Gashmim, which are the 613 mitzvahs of the Torah, which deal with physical reality. Now, the Torah is this levush, is this garment that can carry the Shekhinah, cover it up, and still contain it without being battled in the presence of the Shekhinah. And therefore, ladies, when the Torah came down from level to level, from world to world, all the way from Atzilus and higher than Atzilus, and it took on the garment of each world until it is now expressed through us studying about if somebody stole a sheep from somebody's, or cow from somebody's farm, how much he owes, and who are the witnesses, and it's all that Dvarim Gashmim. But we said that the Torah is the levush for the Shekhinah. So when the Shekhinah, the divine radiance, the divine light, is now mislabesh, is enclosed and garbed in the Torah, as the Torah goes down, the Shekhinah goes down with it. And this is what the Rebbe is saying in the line that starts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 lines from the bottom. The line that begins with Dvarim Gashmiyim. Until the Torah was enclosed and invested in Dvarim Gashmiyim, Shem Taryag Mitzvahs HaTorah, which are the 613 mitzvahs of the Torah, which are done with, in this physical world, with Dvarim Gashmiyim. Now, v'yiridasa b'ishtalshelus me'olam le'olam, and as the Torah, as we just said, descended from world to world, there is the Torah the way it is in Asiya. There is the Torah the way we are in Asiya Gashmis, the physical Asiya. There is the Torah the way it is in Asiya Ruchnis. There is the Torah the way it is in Yetzirah. There is the Torah the way it is in Bria. There is the Torah the way it is in Atzilus. There is a Torah that is beyond Atzilus. This Torah is before the Tzimtzum. But as the Torah was mishtalshel from world to world down, the Shekhinah, מעולם לעולם, גם השכינה ירדה ונסלבשה בה בכל עולם ועולם. The Shekhinah as well, as Torah was going down from world to world, so too the Shekhinah, the divine Shekhinah, the divine energy and vitality and light came down with it. In each world, the Shekhinah comes down to each world with the Torah, the way the Torah comes down to each world. Where is it specifically in each world that the Shekhinah and the Torah are really connecting with that world? וזהו היכל קודש הקודשים שבכל עולם ועולם. This is the chamber of Kodesh HaKodashim, of the Holy of Holies of each and every world. What does it mean, Kodesh HaKodashim, in terms of spheros? Chabad, Chochma Bina Das, or if you wish, Keser Chochma Bina. וכמו שכתוב בזוהר, the Eitz Chaim. You're learning high Kabbalah now, ladies, okay? So don't be surprised. It's a little bit beyond our heads, okay? Surprise, surprise. But it shouldn't be, because the Rebbe is describing here the system, how the system works. And the Rebbe will say very simply that the way the system works is that it begins with the Shechina, which is shelo be'erech to the world. And therefore you need to consider it because it's too much light. Otherwise the worlds will lose their metzius, their existence. Fine. So Hashem found a levush for the Shechina that will on one hand filter the Shechina and be able to conceal its light a little bit, and at the same time not lose itself in its presence. And that's Torah. Generally Torah and mitzvahs here is focusing on Torah specifically. That's the levush. And as Torah comes down, the Shechina comes down with it. Where does it begin? Where does it all begin? In the Kodesh HaKodashim, which means in Chabad of every world. As we learn when the Rebbe presented to us the metaphor of the way the soul animates the body. When the soul wants to animate, the nefesh wants to animate the body, so the energy of the soul will be eventually invested in each and every organ of the body. And that will be demonstrated through the gilui of the different kochos of the body. Now the soul will be expressed through the power to see, or the power to hear, or the power to speak, and so on and so forth. How does it happen? What did we learn? We learn that it happens gradually, that the lowest aspect of the soul, which means that which is shaykh to animate a body, because the soul in its essence is part of God. It's not even the mashpia life. The soul has to go through many tzimtzumim to be mashpia, bestowing life to a body. Tremendous tzimtzumim. And that's the last aspect of the soul now, is ready to animate the body and be integrated into the body. But hey, that's not enough. Because if the soul, even that lowest aspect of the soul, will go directly into the different organs of the body, there will be a breakdown. And therefore, where does the soul come first? Into what? I need somebody to save me.
The brain.
Thank you very much. The brain. And from the brain, the Chabad already filters and allocates the vitality of the soul to each organ according to its capacity. And that's what is called in Kabbalah the Echal, Kodesh Kodashim of each world. The chamber of holies in each world. And spiritually, it begins in the Chabad of each world. And let's see the Kabbalistic expression. וכמו שכתוב בזוהר בעץ חיים, as it says in the Zohar in עץ חיים, שהשכינה, שהיא מלכוס דאצילוס, the Shechina, which is Malchus of Atzilus, she has many names, as we know, because she has many aspects and many functionings. It's called Knesset Israel. It's the source of all Neshamos Israel before they come down to be created and come into bodies and so on and so forth. But the Shechina, which is basically Malchus of Atzilus, which is what, in parentheses, שהיא בחינת גילוי אור אינסוף ברוך הוא וחיוס שמאיר לעולמos. Which, what is the Shechina? The Shechina is Or Ein Sof, the way it is revealed, number one. Or Ein Sof can be revealed. How can be Or Ein Sof revealed? Revealed means Or in Keli. Revealed means a light in a vessel. How can be Or Ein Sof revealed? It's Or Ein Sof. What vessel can contain it? So this is Gilui Or Ein Sof Baruch Hu v'chayus shemeir la'olamos. So this is the Gilui from Or Ein Sof and the energy and the life force that is shining, meaning that is now being revealed in relation to worlds. That now this Or Ein Sof is a potential source of existence of worlds. That's מלכוס of אצילוס. ולכן היא נקראת דבר השם, ורוח פיו כביכול, על דרך משל כמו שבאדם, הדיבור הוא מגלה מחשבתו הסומה ונעלמה לשומעים. And that's why the Shechina, which is Malchus of Atzilus, is also called Dvar Hashem. Because just as, or the Ruach Piv, the breath of God's mouth, sometimes Malchus itself is called the divine mouth. And compared to a mouth with Hey Motzo Sapeh, the 5 utterances of the mouth and so on. But in any case, the Shechina is called also the divine speech or the divine mouth, the Ruach Piv Kivyachol, like, for an example, Ba'adam, Hadibur in a human being, the speech, the Dibur is Megale Machshavto Asuma V'Na'alama Lashomim. What does speech do? It reveals the hidden thought, the thought that is originally hidden from others. Now it reveals what that thought that was hidden from those who hear him now this thought is revealed. And that's what Malchus does. So Malchus now is revealing, what does it reveal? What does Malchus reveal?
Or Ein Sof.
Excuse me?
Not Or Ein Sof.
Yes. Still Or Ein Sof. Yes, it's the last aspect of Or Ein Sof, so to speak. The ability of Or Ein Sof to be Begilui. The ability of Or Ein Sof to have Oisios. To be a source of letters. There are many letters in Or Ein Sof, but they are transparent. And Or Ein Sof has everything. It's the power of infinity, and it also has the power of finitude. Both of them are infinite. But now, Hashem is ready to reveal His light to the two worlds, but it's still way too high. And therefore, just as the nefesh has to first be invested in the brain before it can vitalize any other organ, so too the Shechina through the Torah is mislabeshes beichal kodesh kodashim de bria. The Shechina, which is Malchus of Atzilus, is now enclosed and invested and will be expressed through the reality or the chamber of Kodesh Kodashim. Is not a physical chamber. It is a reality of Kodesh Kodashim of the world under Atzilus, of Bria, which between Atzilus and Bria there is a big curtain or a big partition. So this Malchus of Atzilus will be invested in the Holy of Holies of Bria. What's the Holy of Holies of Bria? She Chabad de Bria, the Moichin of Bria. Chabad is always the pnimius. Every world has its constellation of 10 spheros. Chabad is always the pnimius, and the midus are mochitzonius. Right? So the Moichin is the pnimius, the Kodesh HaKodashim, the innermost part of the temple. A person is a temple. So now the Malchus of Atzilus, always, and this will be the system. The system will be like this, ladies. That as Malchus of Atzilus will go from world to world to world to world, down, it always will begin in a manner that the Malchus of the higher world will be invested and filtered through the Chabad of the lower world. Now, I skipped a very big stage, and that is before. Okay, let's continue from this point. Fine, let's continue from this point. So now in order for Malchus of Atzilus to become now the mashpia of the world under it, which is Bria, first, of course, it has to be invested in the brain of Bria. That's the Chabad of Bria. And through that, eventually, through the other middles, it will reach Malchus of Bria. What happens when it reaches Malchus of Bria? When it reaches Malchus of Bria, Malchus, like we said before, what is Malchus? Malchus is the revealer aspect of the spheros. Like Dibur is the revealer of thought. Speech reveals thought. Malchus, until Malchus, nothing happens. Everything remains within the divine circle, the divine spheros. Once it goes through Malchus, Malchus creates. What does it create? It depends in each world. If it's in the world of Bria, it will create the special angels of Bria, that in this case they will be like Srafim, the Malachim of Bria, like Srafim, the higher kinds of Malachim. First it will create the world of Bria, the chamber, Hechalos, in which the Malach, the reality of Bria. And then it will create the Malachim of Bria, as well as the Neshamas of people. And as it will go down, you will see that each world creates its own reality on its own level. So the Malachim that will be created for Malchus of Bria will not be the same angels that are created through Malchus of Yetzirah, the world lower than Bria. There will be Chayos HaKodesh, there will not be Srafim, they will be lower. What about the souls? So the Rebbe will say, well, what Malchus of Yetzirah will create is the Ruchos. If Malchus of Bria created the Neshamas, we know that we have Neshama, Ruach, and Nefesh, right? That's the conscious aspect of the soul in the body. Neshama and Ruach and Nefesh. Going milamata lamayla, Nefesh, Ruach, and Neshama. The Nefesh is the part that vitalizes our instincts and body and so on. The Ruach is, and its dwelling place is in the kaved, in the liver. The Ruach, the center of Ruach is the Lev, is it connected with the midas, with the emotions. And then Neshama is in the brain. It's the intellectual aspect. And so too, the three worlds corresponding to that, or that is corresponding to the three worlds of Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiya, or Asiya, Yetzirah, and Bria. So what is Malchus creating in Bria is the Neshamas of Yidden. What does Malchus create in Yetzirah? The Ruchos of Yidden. And what is Malchus creating in Asiya? The Nefashos of Yidden. So each Malchus creates. So that's the system. The Malchus of the higher world first gets filtered through Chabad of the lower world. From there it is going down to Malchus. Malchus creates the reality of this world, because before Malchus is just divine spheres. And then, now this Malchus, after creating its own chambers and its own angels and its own souls, now it becomes the mashpia to the lower world. And as such, first it goes to the Chabad of the lower world. But the bottom line is that the Rebbe will say is, Malchus cha Malchus kol olamim. Your Malchus is the Malchus of all worlds. It's the same Malchus that begins really before the Tzimtzum Bimen, Malchus of Ein Sof. And then goes after the Tzimtzum Malchus of Adam Kadmon and Malchus of Atzilus, and then it goes down to Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiya. It's the same Malchus. Malchus that creates each world is Malchus Cha, is your Malchus, the same Malchus. It just mishtal shel lemata. As the Torah comes down and devolves down, 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 lower, lower reality, so too Malchus. So now we can read it quickly. So this Malchus is mislabeshes be'echal kodesh HaKodashim de Bria, in the chamber of Kodesh Kodashim of Bria, and it goes up, obviously, I didn't go to details, but all the way down. It begins with the spiritual world of Asiya, that Malchus of Asiya, the spiritual world of Asiya, the Malchus of Asiya, of that aspect of Asiya is creating the lower Malachim like Ophanim. They are the lower Malachim. And even lower, it comes down to our, eventually, our physical world is Mazalos and so on, the constellations, all the way down to the Asiya Agashmis, the physical Asiya, all the way to Kodesh HaKodashim in Yerushalayim. And next parak will be about that. And what do we see? What happens when we don't have Yerushalayim built? B'mera b'yameinu it should be. Before we even get to the next chapter, it should be already built. But in any case, this Shechina is mislabeshes be'echal kodesh kodashim, in the last two lines, the Bria of Bria, in the Kodesh HaKodashim of Bria, she'i Chabad the Bria, which is the Chabad of Bria, the Moichin of Bria, uvislabshusam b'malchus the Bria, and when they, who is they? The Shechina and the Torah, when they are, or through the Torah, is invested in Malchus of the Bria, Nivreu HaNeshamos v'Malachim shebeBria. The souls, the Neshamos was created, as well as the Malachim of Bria. Next page. Now the Rebbe is adding, Vegam also, something else comes from them as they go down. Because remember, the two go together, the Shechina together with the Torah. They go together down, down, down to each world, from world to world. The Gam Misham, from there, that means from Malchus of Bria, Nimshach HaTalmud shelefaneinu. Is drawn, Talmud comes out, the Talmud. Which Talmud? Not the Talmud, the weight in Atzilus. Talmud shelefaneinu. Talmud that we learn. What is the Talmud shelefaneinu? How is it connected to the world of Bria? The Talmud. וכמו שנתבאר לאל בשם התיקונים, as we already learn in the name of the תיקונים of the Zohar, שבעולם הבריאה מאירוס ומשפיעות שם חוכמסו ובינסו ודייתו של אין סוף ברוך הוא, בבחינת צמצום עצום. What shines in the world of Bria? We know that the world of Bria, the worlds are reflecting the 10 spheres. What shines in Atzilus is the sphere of Chokhmah. What shines in Bria is the sphere of Bina. What shines in Yetzirah are the 6 Midos. And what shines in Asiya is Malchus. So the world of Bria is the world of Chabad. The world of Bria is the world of intellect. That's why the Neshama is associated with Bria, because the Neshama is in the brain and it is the intellectual aspect of our soul. And so too, the Talmud, in which the Chokhmah and Bina and that, the Chabad of Ein Sof, are shining, but which is Bichlal in Olam HaBriya, so that the Zohar explains that in Olam HaBriya shine and mashpia the Chabad of Ein Sof Baruch Hu. But how can it shine the Chabad of Ein Sof? That Chabad of Atzilus is even higher than that. How does it shine in Bria? Bivchinas tzimtzum atzum. It goes through a tremendous tzimtzum, a tremendous constriction and filtering concealment and contraction. So בכדי שיוכלו הנשמות והמלאכים, why this tremendous contraction? So the neshamos and malachim of the world of Bria, of creation, שהם בעלי גבול ותכליס, so that the neshamos and the malachim of Bria, which are already finite beings, the neshama, the way she is in Bria, she is not infinite anymore. She is already in the beginning. Bria is the beginning of the Yesh, of the created world. So the neshama there is already beginning to have its own identity. And therefore, the neshamos and the malachim in Bria are already finite beings. And so the Chabad of Ein Sof is going through tremendous symptom, contraction and concealment, so the neshamos and the malachim, which are finite, can receive, יוכלו לקבל השפעה, can receive the radiance and the light and the energy and the light, yes, from Chabad, אלו, from these Chabad of Ein Sof. ולכן, and therefore, נמשך משם התלמוד. And therefore the Talmud also comes from there, from this light that comes from Chabad, ultimately of Ein Sof, but is going under a tremendous tzimtzum. Why dafka the Talmud? Because שהוא גם כן בחינת Chabad. What is the Talmud? The Talmud is the intellectual, how shall I say, rational discussion that leads to a halachic conclusion. So the Talmud is all about Chabad. The Talmud is the reasoning behind the mitzvahs, the reasoning behind the halachas. So Talmud is Chabad. שהתלמוד הוא טעמי ההלכות על בוריין. What's the Talmud? The reasoning for the halachos, the way it is discussed al buriyan, thoroughly, until you get clear completely, as crystal clear, why the halacha is so. You explained it all the way, you investigated intellectually all the way, until it's crystal clear, and now you're using all the midos שהTorah nidreshes b'hem, and all the intellectual rules and principles of the Torah, and coming finally to a decision. This is the Chabad of the Torah, the Chabad of the halachos, al buriyan, which means all the way to their source, to their thorough reasoning. V'atamim, and all these reasons for the laws, הם בחינת Chabad. They are the intellectual aspect, the reasoning, the Chabad of the laws, of all the laws and principles we have. And this is reflected in the Talmudic discussions, which is coming also from this Chabad of Bria. Now, these are the reasoning for the halachos. What about the halachos themselves? וההלכות עצמן הן ממידויסיו של אין סוף ברוך הוא. The halachas are not from Chabad anymore, so to speak. The Chabad is hidden now in the halachas. Because what is the halacha? The halacha is mutar or asur, chesed or gvura. Is it allowed or is forbidden? Chesed or gvura. Is it kosher or is treif? Chesed or gvura. Is it chayav or is it patur? Gvura or chesed. Now we're talking about halachos. Halachos are the midos of Hashem. So they are midoisav shel Ein Sof Baruch Hu. Now we have two lines basically. We have the two lines of chesed and gvura. What are the halachos? The halachos is basically the two lines of chesed and gvura, and also tiferes, both of them together, which means either something is completely forbidden or it's completely allowed, and then sometimes it's allowed under certain circumstances. It's a combination of chesed and gvura. But the halacha itself is midos. Is yes or no, or sometimes and so on and so forth, is the midos. And the reasoning is already hidden. The revealed is the psak halacha. What are the midos of Ein Sof Baruch Hu? She'en chesed, din, rachamim. Chesed, din, gvura, and rachamim, tiferes. So either chesed, it's a yes, or a no, or rachamim. Sometimes special reasoning, special, how do you say, exemptions and so on, and exceptions and combinations of yes and no. These are the basic three midos. שמהן נמשך ההיתר והאיסור. From these midos, of these two lines, now are coming out what? היתר and איסור, that which is allowed and that which is not allowed. והכשר והפסול, that which is kosher and that which is disqualified. Again, חסד וגבורה. והחיוב והפטור, and if someone is liable or not liable, these are all חסד and גבורה, גבורה and חסד. כמו שכתוב, או שנסבר בתיקונים, as it is explained and written in the Zohar. And now, okay, so that now we know what happens then that when the Shechina, the Torah, are now in Malchus of Bria. What happens? It creates the world of Bria, it creates the Malachim of Bria, it creates the Neshamas of Bria, and it creates the Talmud, the way we know it. The reasoning for the halachos. Uvislabshus Malchus de Atzilus de Bemalchus de Bria, and after Malchus of Atzilus is invested in Malchus of Bria and creates whatever is in Bria, now it's mislabeshes, going further down into the world of Yetzirah, and first, of course, always into the brain first. Be'echal Kodesh Kodashim, that's Kuf Kuf, the Yetzirah, of the world of Yetzirah, of formation. Shehu Chabad, the Yetzirah. What is the Kodesh HaKodashim? The Chabad, the brain of Yetzirah. That's where Malchus of Bria comes into first. Uvislabshusan b'Malchus the Yetzirah, and now further on, when they are both now invested and enclosed and expressed through Malchus of Yetzirah, then not through what is now formulated. Because you see, before is Nivreu, in Bria Nivreu HaMalachim, and in Yetzirah he uses the term not through, because there is also a stage, not only who is created where and when, it is a whole stage by stage, an evolvement of a yesh. Because in the world of Bria, it is only the beginning of a yesh. The world of Bria is very divine. It's like pregnancy. It's like the night of conception, which is just from not pregnant yet to pregnant. But is there a baby yet? You don't see anything. But it changed completely. The beginning of a yesh is now began. This wasn't grammatically said correctly. So that was the beginning of an embryo. It was from yesh from ayin to yesh. It's a big thing. But is there anything there? You would not see anything. Maybe a microscope you see something. That's Bria. Then comes Yetzirah, not through. Yetzirah is getting a form already. It's a yesh that is still included in its source, but a yesh that can feel itself. And then in Asiya, it's a yesh that feels itself separate from its source. In Yetzirah, the yesh cannot imagine being separate from its source, but it's a yesh. In Asiya, the lowest world, it's a yesh that feels itself, how should I say, by default feels itself separate from its source. So as it goes down, at first it went to Malchus, to Kabad of Bria, then to Malchus of Bria, and now Malchus of Bria mislabeshet be'echal kodesh kodashim di Yetzira, which is Chabad of Yetzira, and bislabshusan be'Malchus di Yetzira, and when they are invested in Malchus of Yetzira, notzru are formulated haruchos, the spirits, והמלאכים שביצירה, and the angels of Yetzira, like Chayos HaKodesh. וגם also, what about Torah? The Torah also came down to Yetzira. What comes from that? משם היא המשנה שלפנינו. If the Talmud is the outcome of Malchus of Bria, which is affected by Chabad of Bria, which is all about intellect, now the Mishnah is that which is formulated through the Torah, the way it came down to the world of Yetzirah. When both the Shechina and the Torah mislabshos, or is invested in Malchus of Yetzirah. So we have the Ruchos, the spirits, we have the Malachim of Yetzirah, and we have the Mishnah Shelefanenu, the Mishnah Shelefanenu that is in front of us, the way we know it, the way it is down here. What is the Mishnah? Shehi halachos psukot. These are defined halachos, rules, halachic rulings. הנמשכות גם כן מחב"ד של אין סוף ברוך הוא, that are also coming from Chabad of Ein Sof. They have a divine reasoning, a logic. They are an expression of the wisdom of God. Of course there is Chabad there. However, רק שבחינס חב"ד, שהם טעמי ההלכות, הם מלובשים וגנוזים בגופי ההלכות. ולא בבחינס גילוי. But when it comes to the Mishnah, now the Chabad, which are the reasonings for the halachos, are not revealed anymore. They are now enclosed and hidden and concealed behind the defined halachos, behind the determined laws and principles. And they are not revealed. They are the reasoning for them, but they're not revealed anymore. That means that if this fell into this scenario, you can eat it or you cannot eat it, in a battle or not battle, all this, everything has a reasoning. But now the halacha is, you are allowed, you're not allowed. So the all reasoning that was extensively discussed in the Talmud is hidden now. You don't see it at all. You see the outcome, the halachic ruling. That's it. That's the Mishnah. וגופי ההלכות שהן בבחינס גילוי, what are the halachos themselves? The body of the halachos themselves, which they are the ones that are revealed in the Mishnah. The halacha, what is the final halacha? That's what is revealed in the Mishnah. הן הערס מידויסף של אין סוף ברוך הוא בבחינס גילוי, כמו שנשבער לאל בשם התיקונים. There are the halachos of the Mishnah are the gilui of a radiance from the midos of Hashem. That means chesed, basically chesed, gvura, and rachamim. Chesed, din, and rachamim. And all this is b'chinai gilui. They should be revealed. What is revealed? The midos. That's why what is revealed in the Mishnah? The halachos, yes or no? Allowed or forbidden, chesed or gvura. As we learn, כמו שנתבאר לאל already, בשם התיקונים, in the name of the Zohar, the shish sphira and mekanenin biyitzira, that the 6 midos are dwelling in Yetzira. If the chokhmah bin adas are dwelling in Bria, the chesed, gvura, tiferes, netzach, and hod, and yesod are dwelling in Yetzira, the 6 midos. שהן דרך כלל שני קווים, ימין ושמאל. That generally they are divided to 2 lines, the right and the left. להקל מסיטרא דס חסד, דהיינו להתיר שיוכל לעלות אל הלוויה. You have one side that is lenient, that comes from chesed. Being lenient and permitting comes from the line of chesed. That means permitting. Make something mutar. What is mutar? Untied. So it could ascend to Hashem. That comes from the line of chesed in determining the halacha. And if the halacha is lechumra, if the halacha is to the side of din of gvura, or lehachamir, to be, the halacha is severe, is the opposite of lehakel, of being lenient, then it will come from the other side, the side of gvura. Ve'akol, and everything is running and determined according to what? Al pi chochma ilad atzilus. According to the divine wisdom of Atzilus. The Torah is the wisdom of God. And this divine Chochmah of Atzilus, Ubina v'das klulot ba. That includes Bina and Das, which means this is coming from the divine wisdom. That has Chochmah and has Bina of Chochmah of Atzilus, Bina of Atzilus, and Das of Atzilus. Everything, this is the Chabad of Atzilus, all begins in Kodesh HaKodashim of Atzilus. But the Kodesh HaKodashim of Atzilus, the Chochmah, Bina, Das of Atzilus, are miyuchados be'ein sof baruch hu. The nature of the spheros of Atzilus, and especially Chochmah of Atzilus, which is the Koach of Ma, the ultimate ability to be battle to the infinite, to let go of the self. The spheres, all of them of Atzilus, but especially Chochmah and Bina and Das of Atzilus, are mamash one with Or and Sof, the infinite light of God. They are one with. They are also infinite. So this is how the halachos eventually are paskened, are determined. Through that divine wisdom, the way it goes down and dictates everything and motivates everything. And it is one with God Himself, with Godliness itself, with Or and Sof. כי בתוך כולם מלובשות חב"ד ואצילוס, because in all the halachos of the Mishnah, and in all the, in the halachot psukot, in the defined halachos of the Mishnah, are invested the Chabad of Atzilus, שאור אין סוף ברוך הוא מיוחד בהן בתכלס הייחוד, which Or and Sof is one with Chabad of Atzilus, completely one. So we see that Or and Sof is really coming down to each and every halacha. וכן, in the same manner, through the same system, בדרך זה ירדה השכינה ונסלבשה בהיכל קודש קודשים דעשייה. And in the same manner, the Shechina came down for Malchus of Yetzirah and invested in the Echal Kodesh Kodashim, in the Chabad of Asiya, of the lowest world. V'chol olam migimel olamos elu, but you should know that this is a very, very general division of worlds. Each and every of these three worlds of Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiya, mischalek lerevevos madregos, is divided to tens of thousands of levels. Hanikraot gam ken olamos, that are also called worlds. Each level of like this is a world on its own, that has its 10 spheros, its Chabad and its Midos and its Malchus. So in each world there are tens of thousands and tens of thousands, rebavos, of madregos that are also called oilamos, pratim, specific individual worlds with within each and every of these three categories. ומלכוס דאצילוס מלובשת במלכוס של כל עולם פרטי. And it is Malchus of Atzilus that through the process of descent is really invested in each and every specific individual world. It doesn't matter how minute it is. And in the parentheses, בזה יובן לשון הכסוב מלכוסך מלכוס כל עולמים. And with this, we can understand what the Pasuk says, that we say it from Tehillim, we say it in Ashrei, Malchuscha, your Malchus is the Malchus of all worlds. It's the same thing, same divine light. And this Malchus of each and Shechina of each and every world, each Olam Prati, יורדת ומתלבשת בהיכל קודש הקודשים שהוא חב"ד שבעולם שלמטה ממנו במדרגה. And each one goes from Malchus of the higher world and descends and is now invested and enclosed in the chamber of Kodesh Kodashim, which is the Chabad of the lower world. והנה now מהשכינה המלובשת בהיכל קודש קודשים של כל עולם ועולם כללי או פרטי, from the Shechina that is invested in the Hechal Kodesh Kodashim of each and every world, whether it is the general worlds or the specific worlds, subworlds, נמשך ומתפשט ממנה אור וחיוס לכל העולם. And from Malchus of each world, from the Shechina of each world, which means the way she is mitlabeshes, is invested in the Chabad, in the Kodesh Kodashim of each world, is nimshach, is elicited light and life force to each and every, to the entire world. Vehabruim shebo, and all the creatures in that world, all the creations, neshamos, malachim, v'chulu, souls and angels and so on. כי כולם נבראו בעשרה מאמרות, because everything was created with 10 utterances. That means from Malchus of Atzilus, Dibur, Dvar Hashem, the speech of God. שבמעשה בראשית, the 10 utterances that are associated with the process of creation of Bereshis. שהם דבר השם הנקרא בשם שכינה. The 10 utterances, the 10 ma'amot through which the world was created is called Dvar Hashem, which is also, as we already learned in the previous chapter, also called Shechina. And by this we concluded Baruch Hashem, chapter 52, Nun Beis. We have one more to go, and then we can celebrate the Siyum of Likutei Amarim, the first Chelek of Tanya. So as they go down, they take on the levushim of that world. So they're not looking like Neshama of Atzilus anymore. Neshama Chadasha, like the Alter Rebbe, was a new Neshama. He was Neshama d'Atzilus. Express soul. Came straight from Atzilus. Didn't become coarse or concealed, or Neshama shines as Atzilus down in this physical world. That's why the Baal Shem Tov got so excited. It's festive, the whole year, the whole Rosh Hashanah, at the beginning of that year. He already was B'Simcha. I mean, right after he was born, they saw him, his face was glowing. It was a Neshama Chadasha, Neshama of Atzilus, express train. Many sichos of the Rebbe about the condition of Eretz Yisrael at the time of Geula, when we are going to acquire the extra 3 countries of Keni, Knizi, and Kadmoni, which are corresponding to Chabad that we are talking about. That's Kodesh HaKodashim that we didn't conquer yet. The Eretz Shiva Amami, the Midas we already did. That Yeshua did. So it's definitely connected to the Sichos of the Rebbe, and let's see. I will try instead of reading, because that will take too long. You have the text in front of you. Those who can read can follow with me, and otherwise I'm going to translate directly, and try to make it bekitzur. So it begins with the pasuk, Parsha, Bayom Hahu karas Hashem es Avram bris. On that day, Hashem made a covenant with Avram, לאמור, saying, לזרעך נשאתי את הארץ הזויס, and I thought it's very relevant to our time when so many false opinions fly around in terms of our rights to our land, and where is it and where it is not. So Hashem made a covenant with Avraham Avinu that lezaracha, to your offsprings I will give this land, mi nahar Mitzrayim ad hanahar hagadol nehar Pras, from the river of Egypt until the big river, the river of Prat. You read this, whatever you call it in English. And I will give you Esakeni, Ve'esaknizi, Ve'esakadmoini. With spiritually they are Chochma bin Adas, or even Keser Chochma Bina. In this case, Keni will be probably Chochma, and Knizi Bina, and Kadmoini Keser. In any case, these are the additional 3 lands that we need to conquer. And the Rebbe said that in our Parsha, in Dvar Malchus, which we might not get tonight, but in our Dvar Malchus, the Rebbe, Malchus, in addition to the fact that the Rebbe says that we have to work on the Keni, Knizi, V'Kadmoini in our own consciousness, which means I'm already combining this with the Dvar Malchus. That's what I'm going to do with God's help. That the Rebbe says that we need to, that until the Geula, the main emphasis was on these 7 nations, conquering these 7 nations, which means that in terms of the personal avodah within oneself, to master one's own midos, to refine the midos, and to use the seichel, the intellect, mainly in order to refine the midos, and to make them less animalistic and less self-centered and less selfish, and more selfless and giving and gentle and soft and so on. That's why we say l'chaim v'livracha, lev racha, should have a soft heart. But now the Geula is associated with the conquering, and the Rebbe actually says in our Parsha that it will be given to us peacefully by the Goyim. The nations will give us these 3 lands of around Jordan area and Iraq and Syria, Lebanon. They will give it to us willfully. But we need to conquer these extra 3 lands, countries. And spiritually it means that now there is a special avodah, the Rebbe explains, that is called avodas hamoichin, that we connect to God not just by refining our character traits, but there is a special connection to God that is done just through the intellectual study of Torah, and especially Pnimius Torah, the inner aspect of Torah. There is a special bond that is created between a human mind, human being, and the infinite God when there is a service of God that is, the agenda is to cleave, to attach oneself to God through the learning of the Torah, not in order to refine ourselves, but just to connect to Hashem. The avodah samoichin for itself, the avodah of intellect for its own sake, meaning the sake of connecting to God through the intellect. And therefore the Rebbe says we need to increase in learning Torah altogether, and especially Pnimius Torah, and not to be afraid of a little complicated text and so on. That we should deepen our study of Torah, not to be afraid to go deeper. Now is the time to do it. It's bringing Geula into our being, or bringing our being into the Geula reality. It's mamash bringing the Geula. Rashi says about this, 10 umos yesh kan, velo nasan lahem ela shiv'a goyim. Rashi says there are 10 nations we have here, but he only gave them 7 nations. The Canaanite, the Amori, the Hittite, the Perizzite, that's what we mentioned in davening. והשלושה עשידים להיות ירושה לעתיד. And the other 3, the Canaanite, Kenizi, and Kadmoni, are going to be inherited in the future to come, which will be given. And in Chesed LaAvraham, the Hasidic Sefer, he explains the inyan that the Eser Amamin and Keneged Eser Sfiros, that the 10 nations are corresponding to the 10 Sfiros, and the 7 nations that they inherited and they conquered are corresponding to the 7 Midos, and the 3 that were not conquered yet, Keni, Knizi, and Kadmoni, are corresponding to the first, what is called in Kabbalah, the Shalosh Rishonos, the first 3 ones, which are Chokhmah, Bina, and Das. And he says that the Zayin Midos, the 7 Midos, the 7 attributes were already rectified and refined through the Shivas Roim, so the 7 leaders and shepherds of the Jewish people, Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Moshe, Aaron, Yosef, and David, like the Ushpizim. They already rectified the 7 Midos. And therefore, Al Ken nitna liYisrael Eretz Zayin Amamin. Therefore, the land of the 7 nations, the land of Canaan, was given to Bnei Israel. However, the first 3, which are Chokhmah, Bina, and Das, were not rectified yet in a time of Galus, and their rectification will be through Melech HaMashiach. As it says in Yeshayahu, V'nacha alav ruach havayeh, that upon Mashiach will rest the Spirit of God, Ruach Chokhmah Bina, the Spirit of Chokhmah and Bina, Ruach Das ve'yiras Hashem, a spirit of Das, of consciousness and yiras Hashem, and God-fearing. Ve'az, and then Yisrael, through their rectification, that rectification that Mashiach will accomplish. And Mashiach is that which is through whom Am Yisrael achieves its rectification. Then Yisrael will receive all 10 nations. But you have to medayek, he says in a Sivus Lashanu. What the Pasuk, pay attention to what the Pasuk says. The Pasuk says that Hashem on that day was establishing a bris with Avraham to say that I will give this land to your offsprings. But it says, לזרעך נשאתי את הארץ הזאת, ולא נאמר אתן. It says in the Torah that Hashem says to Avraham, to your offsprings I gave this land. I gave this land to your offsprings. It doesn't say, to your offsprings I will give this land. I will give this land to your offspring, to the generations to come. No, Torah says, לזרעך נשאתי את הארץ הזאת. I gave this land to your offsprings. And that means that Abraham already received all 10 nations, and as Rashi's expression is, that אמירתו של הקדוש ברוך הוא כאילו היא עשויה. That when Hashem says something, it's as if it's done, because we know that the Dibur of Hashem is not like our Dibur. Our Dibur doesn't create. Hashem's Dibur creates. So it's like done. Consider it done, as they say in this country. So we need to understand the greatness of Avraham Avinu. Chazal say bichlal that there's so much to say here, and I probably will have to stop soon because I hope you will learn this maamar, this essay. It's beautiful. It's a Hasidic essay. It's beautiful. But Chazal say, in many midrashim, Chazal say that there are many אלה תולדות השמיים בארץ בהיברעם. Chazal say that it's באותיות אברהם. Chazal say that the Shamayim va'aretz, the whole creation, was created for the sake of Avraham Avinu. He was such a great man. He was a tremendous, tremendous man. You can have classes and classes about his greatness. So what he's saying here, that you need to understand that in the source of this matter, of this subject, everything was already given to Avraham Avinu. But in order for the Jewish people to receive it in actuality, and it should be all revealed and completely established, they have to go through all the tikkunim, all the process of rectifications that were led by the 7 shepherds all the way to Melech HaMashiach. But this gift was already given, done, consider it done to Avraham Avinu. Why is it? Why was Avraham Zoche that for his chus all 10 lands were given to the Jewish people? So he explains, because in the root of the matter, Avraham Avinu already rectified the 10 spheros. You know how? Because he was tested by 10 tests. So Avraham Avinu was tested and passed with flying colors 10 nisyonis. And this is corresponding to the 10 spheros, and this is corresponding to the 10 maimaros with which the world was created. And there's so much more to say. But you know, Chazal noticed that the Torah is different when it comes to Avraham Avinu. Other leaders, the Torah gives us a little bit of a shtickle, at least a resume of this leader before he takes on the leadership. About Moshe Rabbeinu, it tells us how he killed the Mitzri that was torturing the Jew, and then he separated between 2 Jews that were fighting. Lama takerer, why you beating up your brother? Don't do that. You see already from early childhood that he was already a leader. David HaMelech, and I was taking care of, he was a shepherd, all kinds of, Shimshon. Yeah, each leader, you hear from where he's come here, nothing, not Yichus, no about his family, just there was Terach had Avram, and that's it. There are many reasons. The Chazal, one moment, please. There are many reasons the Chazal bring. Many of them notice this. That nothing is said about Avram. All of a sudden, Terach, and then Avram, and then all of a sudden, Lech Lecha, God is revealed to him. Who is he? We don't know anything about him. Only in Midrashim. Not in the written Torah. In Midrashim, you have a lot of stories about him. Torah begins only when the written Torah, when he was 75. We don't know anything about him. And a lot happened until 75, as we know from Midrashim. So there are many reasons that Chazal bring. And one interesting reason is that you know why? Because it's not about your yichus. It's not about who he was. It was about the 10 nisyonos that he was tested. The 10 tests that he was tested. So why it's not about who he was and what it was his yichus? Because he's talking to each one of us. We are all, it's Avraham Avinu. Each one of us is told Lech Lecha. And he's tested throughout our lifetimes 10 nisyonos. Keneged the 10 kochos hanefesh, keneged the 10 spheros, and keneged the 10 ma'amaros. And that's what Chazal say Avraham Avinu's greatness is about. It's not about his resume. It's about the fact that he passed all 10 nisyonos and showed his loyalty and devotion to God and to the human race. And that we want to emulate. But we need to do it by Lech Lecha. We need to do it by discovering our true selves, by letting go of a lot of things that we get attached to that we shouldn't. Today I heard a very good metaphor that actually was I don't know if it was coined by him or it was suggested by a psychologist to one of his clients, and he said, you need, and everything hurt her so much by someone who is very close to her and is really messed up, and she gets so hurt. So he told her, you need to change, you need to work on changing from being Velcro to being Teflon. You know, Velcro, everything sticks to you and you're hurt, you can't sleep at night. You have to become Teflon, everything just slides off. Why am I saying it? We have 10 nisyonos in our lifetime that help us to become from Velcro, which means that every challenge and everything is shaking our being, and we can't let go of our expectations and our disappointments and so on. Eventually become very flexible and smooth and shiny like Teflon, which means we take everything with joy and we trust Hashem that everything we go through, like Avraham Avinu, who passed all 10 nisyonos with such enormous devotion. Yashkem Avraham b'boker. What a test to slaughter his own son. His first thing in the morning was first one up, with such excitement, with such zeal, with such devotion. So we have, thank God, a lot to thank for, and we should see the outcome of Lech Lecha, that Avraham Midas HaChesed, that Hashem should deal with us, B'chesed u'berachamim, and bring the Geula, B'chesed u'berachamim, teku miyad mamash, and as the Rebbe predicted, that the three lands of Keni, Knizi, and Kadmoni would be given to us as our divine right, willfully and peacefully by the Gentiles, and then the whole world can become a home for God Himself, mitoch simcha v'tuv levav, in the third Beis HaMikdash, where all humankind and race and the entire world, including the animals and the plants, and even the doimim, the inanimate, will be completely healed and divine.